Boom, and welcome to another video of the Flowing Dutchman. In this video I'd like to talk about the number one mistake, in my point of view, what can happen when swinging light clubs, also known as Indian clubs. Usually it has to do with the way your technique is. Oh, yeah, I just felt it in my elbow. It's painful. If you learn to be creative with that, your swing will never be the same again. So first of all, this is something that is mainly related to light clubs. Light club swinging is definitely a different technique and different art than heavy club swinging, and also different than heavy clubs swinging. These are all different types of arts that are using different types of tools. Now, these tools are known as light clubs, or also known as Indian clubs. Depicted and named in this way by the British, who were inspired by very large clubs they found in India. They brought it back home to the West, and they over time made these very small clubs, which were eventually used by women. They were used in performances, in arts. It even got into the Olympics in 1931, 1932. And there were lots of books were written, so it's one of the only tools in the swinging arts that actually have ancient books about these tools that have techniques about them, with people that invested a lot of time in the shape and a lot of time in the technique around it. And the more I learn about this tool, the more I realize how important it really is, and why still till today you'll find it in the Netherlands, for example, in physios, where they use it as rehabilitation exercise for your shoulders. Especially after the 1930s, 1940s, it decreased a lot in popularity. Bodybuilding became more popular, and the art of movement kind of died for a while there. But it's coming back, and it's coming back in full force. And that's why you're watching this video. So, number one mistake. It's interesting because I was recently swinging and I actually hurt my elbow during swinging. And like, my right side has always been a bit of an issue for me because my neck, it probably has to do with an injury that I had where I slammed into a wall 10 years ago, and that's why it's more difficult for me to actually keep my lat engaged and my shoulder down. So for me, it's been more of an issue to actually learn how to fully, properly bend backwards here, instead of the way where you would swing like this. And this is something that I almost see everybody doing. It's devastating because I've got heavier clubs now. These are 1.6, and for light clubs, this is fucking heavy, especially if you're holding your arms all the time above your head, and they are just an extension of your body, right? So think about your arms in length, holding them up like above your shoulders, but then increase it by about 40 centimeters and add almost 2 kilos at the end of your arm to it. So you make basically a big mace out of your arm. That's what Indian clubs or light clubs are. And yeah, so I was swinging light clubs quite unconsciously, or focusing on creating new movements. And what happened was that I was swinging and suddenly I felt this little push into my elbow. And I felt that right at the moment that the club dropped. And this is a crucial point, because in creating momentum, what happens is it almost doubles the amount of force put on your ligaments and your muscles, almost doubles, because drop the weight. 1.6 becomes like almost 4, a bit less, maybe 3.5 kilos in force when dropping down. So it isn't that 1.6 anymore. After it drops, it becomes heavier. Now, muscle structure that you want to have this force onto is actually the lats, stretching the lats and the tricep. Now, what happens if not pushing your elbow up is that full force hits your elbow. So it hits lower instead of higher. And the moment you bring up your elbow, that is actually when you can drop and can add your structure, can actually cope with this weight. But it cannot cope with this weight here. So this, in my mind, is the number one mistake. People start swinging these clubs and they swing without without straining them above their, but also, yeah, I just felt it in my elbow. It's painful. You shouldn't try this, guys. But it will happen, and it's really, really devastating for your elbow joint. Every tool becomes only devastating or bad once the technique is proper. So technique is super, super important. Imagine with a deadlift, right? The thing we learned first about a deadlift, you have to have a straight back, you shouldn't pull from your back. And if you do that, that becomes a very devastating exercise. So the fact that people start to say clubs or maces, they're bad for your elbows, they're bad for this, or not good for this in the way that they load, usually it has to do with the way your technique is. Just like with any drug, depends on the dose, the intention, what the effect eventually will be. Same with any training tool. So how intentionally are you moving? How specifically are you targeting and positioning your ligaments and joints? So for your technique, or to solve this, what you want to do is always have your elbows higher than your shoulders once the position is reached. So you don't have to reach all the way down here. You can reach here, just make sure your elbows are up higher than your shoulders. In that sense, the load will be now put on the structure that can actually handle it, the lats and the shoulder and the tricep, instead of on the elbow. Okay, and I just got reminded of why it's so important, because I just hit it right there, and it's not nice. We have some of these clubs coming up on our website. We also have courses on light clubs. So if you want to know more, dive into the actual techniques of light club swinging, we have two courses, the one-on-one and the 6-week course, which is 6-week course is a follow-up on the one-on-one. It opens up the world of light club swinging to you in a beautiful way. I'm just so excited, because understanding it from this perspective, you can learn it yourself by going through YouTube videos, learning techniques and stuff. But if you understand the underneath, the structure behind it, and if you learn to be creative with that, your swing will never be the same again. It will completely change your perception of these tools and also your technique. And you will get the most benefit out of swinging these beautiful wood clubs. I hope you enjoyed that video. I'll see you in the next video. Over the years, I've found so much joy in creation. Light Club 6 is designed to bring that joy of creation to your screen. Through 3 sessions every week, you'll be exposed to increasingly challenging movement patterns with Indian clubs. In the first week, you'll learn about crossing swings. In the second week, you'll learn about parallel swings. And in the third week, you'll learn how to combine the parallel and the crossing swings. In the fourth week, you will master wrist circles. And in the 5th week, we'll dissect asynchronous swings. And lastly, in the 6th week, you'll learn how to combine the synchronous swings and the asynchronous swings. At the end of Light Club 6, the word beginner will not fit you anymore. Are you ready to structure and perfect the art of Indian club swinging? Join now at DutchFlowAcademy.com. Boom! Thank you for your attention. It's greatly appreciated. If you like the content, please consider to share, like, and subscribe to my channel. If you want to see similar videos, you can see them over here. If you're interested in learning more from me as a coach, I've got online courses on DutchFlowAcademy.com. Keep flowing. Ram Ram.